Previously, on Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, Marth crosses the treacherous mountain pass at Lefkandef, arrives at the port town of Warren, clashing with a Grustian garrison, then escapes to the nearby kingdom of Parthia, defeating a dragon in the process. Receiving a message from the Macedonian White-Winged Katria that Princess Minerva plans a rebellion, Marth heads towards Castle Deil for a rescue mission. Marth has arrived at Deil, where Princess Maria of Macedon is imprisoned, guarded by a Grustian force. Rescuing her is an important step to allow Minerva to finally rebel against Dollar. In this map, 14 units must be deployed. The player army starts in the northeast, with a convoy nearby, while the enemy army starts with units in the northwest, as well as inside the central castle, guarding Maria. Enemy flyers will move through the north towards me, while cavaliers will circumvent the castle to attack me from the south in a pincer maneuver. I split my forces to deal with these enemies, with Merrick and George being of great help against the flyers, while my own cavaliers intercept the nearby thief and the enemy cavaliers. Julian heads south along them to loot the chests inside the castle. Left holds a Levin sword, a magic sword, while right holds a physics staff. Inside the castle is a group of archers, including a sniper, which I slowly grind through, with the sniper dropping a silver bow when defeated. Meanwhile, in the north, Minerva's AI does an oopsie and blocks Marth's movement. He can only move one tile per turn in these ramparts, and enemy reinforcements threaten to appear from my starting location if I'm not fast enough, so I come up with a risky plan. Warp Marth next to Maria's holding cell and open the door to it. Maria moves towards Marth to thank him for the rescue, joining our army. Afterwards, I open the other door, resulting in a scrap between Marth and an enemy hero. He outdamages Maria's healing, but a lucky crit helps me finish him quickly, with him dropping a hero crest, the hero promotion item. I give this one to Navarre, though he can't use it just yet. With the path clear, Minerva moves towards Marth, finally able to enact her rebellion, explaining that many in Macedon, including her brother Michaelis, support Dollar, while her White-Wing subordinates have been separated from her, hoping that they will join us in the future. With this, both princesses of Macedon have joined our ranks. Maria is a curate. Her stats are low for the most part, especially that speed, and she has multiple growths at 0%, meaning she won't get much from leveling up. However, her starting weapon level of 8 allows her to use all non-exclusive staffs in the game, so she is ready from the get-go to contribute with staff utility. She's good enough. Minerva is a Wyvern Knight, a 10 movement class that wields swords and lances. She starts with good HP and defense, decent strength, but her speed is a bit on the lower side, her growths being low to middling. Her starting weapon level allows her to use most swords and lances, and growth in it is enough to allow her to potentially use the strongest lance in the game. With incredible flying movement, she can go farther than any other unit, and her bulk allows her to take fights most other units can't. Now if only there was a quick way of patching up her speed. With a successful rescue operation behind us, I move towards the northwest. On the west side of the map is a convoy, an armory, which holds the inventory of Chapter 8, a vendor, holding new items such as breach keys, which are single-use keys that lower drawbridges, and pure waters, consumables that have the ward staff effect. Near these facilities are two houses. One tells of the bishops Miloa, Garnef, and Goto, and the other tells of the Levin sword. Guarding the castle is Jarov, a level 3 general with a steel sword. His choice of weapon makes him somewhat less threatening than previous general bosses, but still quite a force to be reckoned with. I start the combat with Minerva's Levin sword for easy damage, follow up with George, again with Minerva, and finish him with Navarre's Armor Slayer, with the boss dropping a speed ring, a stat booster that increases speed by 6, which I give to Minerva to fix her speed. When Marth seizes the castle, Princess Nina asks him if he knows of Archbishop Miloa, Marth knowing he was the wielder of the Aura Tome, who fell in combat against Garnef, who has sided with Dollar. Nina reveals to him that he had a daughter named Linda, who inherited the Aura Tome, though she has no idea where she could possibly be. With her father gone, they must find and protect her. Marth heads west. Marth has finally arrived at the capital of Archaea, with this millennia-old castle having lost many treasures and people. Having gone through a long journey, Marth has arrived at one of his many goals. In this map, 14 units must be deployed. The player army starts in the southwest, with a Grustian garrison holding the northwest, and a band of ruffians sitting in the southeast. Most of these units will hold their positions, but the flyers will cross the mountains to attack you. But being just a couple of Pegasus Knights, they are easily dispatched. I move my army towards the east to engage with the ruffians that are tormenting the market town of Norda. Within this town are 6 houses. One welcomes the player to town, which holds many rare items in shops. Another tells that there's a slave market in the outskirts of town. A third apologizing for the state of the town after the fall of Archaea. The fourth lamenting that war only causes devastation. The fifth tells of the legendary Regalia of Archaea. And the last one explaining that Grosta's army has good people in it, such as Jake, who guards the castle, telling the player they should talk to him, though he will only listen to women. There are also 2 armories which hold the same contents as the previous chapter, and 2 vendors which hold new items such as Thunder and Blizzard Tomes, as well as men's staves. There's also a convoy and an arena. In the village is the previously mentioned slave market, with Marth dispersing the slave traders and rescuing the children that have been captured, one of them insisting to join with Marth. It turns out that she is Linda, daughter of Archbishop Miloa, dressed in boyish clothing to escape from Garneth. With Princess Nina's worries assuaged, Lind will help the army with the power of the Autotome. Linda is a mage. Her stats aren't impressive for the most part. With her Autotome being so heavy, her speed isn't enough to double with it. Her growths, however, are good for the most part. Her starting weapon level is enough for most tomes in the game, with a good growth in it. She has exclusive access to the Autotome, the most powerful tome in the game, but is very heavy, needing continuous speed level ups or speed ring investment to double medium speed enemies. Otherwise, she has the same type of contribution as Merit, big magic damage that ignores defense and avoid. With Norda, free from ruffians, I move north to the palace. With Navarre having gained enough experience to reach level 10, I promote him with the hero crest. He doesn't gain much from it, the most notable change that he can now cross rivers. A ballistician blocks the path. With him gone, I take over the 4th pass slowly, making my way through the enemies, one cavalier in particular dropping a javelin. Guarding the castle are 2 ballisticians, one of them being Jake. These ballisticians will move to attack, leaving the castle defenseless for a potential Marth seize. Jake in particular will complain about becoming a soldier and the lack of cute girls nearby. He can be recruited with Seda, who will tell him his girlfriend Anna will follow him anywhere, were he to fight for the people of Archaea. Since Jake doesn't want to see people suffer, he joins the army. Jake is a ballistician, a 4 movement class that wields ballista. He's got an amazing defense stat, but with low speed and strength, though due to the nature of the ballista weapon type, this generally doesn't matter. His growths are mostly poor, except for HP and skill. Ballista are also an unusual weapon type. Much like bows, they are 2 range weapons, but are high power. They also cannot double attack, no matter how much speed their wielder has. As if that wasn't enough, ballisticians have the lowest movement of all classes, making them very hard to keep up with anyone, really. All in all, a rather poor unit that at best could be a highly defensible decoy filler unit that can launch a high power shot once in a while. But if he's guarding the castle, while not being the boss, and the other ballistician is a generic unit, then who's the boss? The true boss of the chapter is Hosen, a level 3 mana kit with a Firestone, making him identical to Manu, the chapter 9 boss. Since he doesn't guard the castle, however, he acts aggressively towards nearby units, though that means he misses the avoid bonuses of castle tiles. I bait him with Navarre, holding a Worm Killer, and finish him with Merrick, the boss dropping a Power Ring, a stat booster that boosts strength by 4. I gave this one to Minerva, though I admit this one is personal preference. Other units can also make good use of it. With the map clear, I seize the castle with Marth. Having reached the Ageless Palace, Nina is joyous, although many allies are still imprisoned within its walls. Marth storms the castle. With Marth's entry to the castle, the commotion caused attracts the attention of media, hoping this means she and her fellow prisoners will be rescued, though Boa warns that this means they will be killed in their cell. Media believes that if she falls, it will all be worth it, with Boa retorting that Astram would be sad if that were to happen, both of them agreeing that they shouldn't give up. In this map, 11 units must be deployed, and you are joined by the Archanean prisoners for a 16-unit strong army. Dolph is a knight. He has high HP and defense, but is otherwise unremarkable. His weapon level is enough for killing edges and silver lances, but not enough for silver swords, though he has a high weapon level growth in it. His low movement though makes him hard to use, and there are a few other units that are bulkier than him, so he's usually benched. Macellan is another knight. His stats and growths are either equal or lower to Dolph's. His lower weapon level makes him unable to use killing edges and silver weapons, and his growth in it is even lower. He's not a very good unit, and is benched just as well. Thomas is an archer. His stats are low, especially his speed, and his growths are low as well, except for weapon level and HP. His starting level of 8 puts him close to promotion, so with some effort, he could become a unit close to George in terms of power, although if that effort is worth it, is debatable. He provides a middle ground between Gordon and George in terms of effort needed to become useful, but is usually benched otherwise. Boa is a bishop. He isn't as bulky as Wendell, but his speed is amazing, and his weapon level is enough to use any non-exclusive tome and staff in the game. Wendell is already an amazing unit, so getting second Wendell is a pretty good addition for the army, though like all other prisoners from this chapter, you have to supply him with weapons. Media is a paladin. She's got good stats like Jagan, and her growths are better, especially in HP and speed. Her weapon level is enough for silver weapons, and with good enough growth for the strongest lance in the game. Depending on playstyle, she could either be a replacement for Jagan or an additional paladin. She's still good enough. The player army deploys in the north, with a convoy on the outside. The 5 prisoners are stuck in a cell in the northwest, with enemies nearby threatening them, most other units being in the south. Of these, only the mages will move to meet the player in combat. I moved the knights to the right side and Boa to the left side, with my main army moving to the west to relieve them. The mage dropping a Thunder Tome when defeated. Near my starting position are 2 thieves. When defeated, they will drop a Warp Staff and an Armor Slayer sword. I decide to warp Marth to the south yard with the enemy cavalry. A risky move, but he easily defeats them, with the sub-boss Heimler dropping a Paladin's Honor, the Paladin promotion item, which I later give to Kane, promoting him for a decent stat boost and better movement. The chest in this yard has Boots, the stat booster which boosts movement by 4, which I give to Marth, so he can move faster through the maps for easier completion of secondary objectives. Next to this position is a convoy and an armory, which holds many swords, including Killing Edges, 11 swords, and silver swords. When the mages reach close to me, I use ward boosted units to defeat them, one of them dropping an Hellfire Tome. I open the room holding the majority of the treasure chests. From top to bottom, left to right, the chests hold an Orion's Bolt, the sniper promotion item, 20,000 gold, a manual, the stat booster that increases weapon level by 5, a silver sword, and a master key. I defeat the Manekid using Minerva's Worm Killer, who drops a vulnerary. I draw the sniper away with Marth, who drops a silver bow when defeated, and then I finish the curates, with one of them dropping a heal staff when defeated. Only the boss is left. Sitting on the throne is Volzin, a level 1 bishop with a Bolganon tome. The high speed and magic damage of bishops make him a very threatening boss. I decide to attack with Speedy Navarre when running him, Volzin dropping the Bolganon tome. Powerful, but somewhat inaccurate and heavy. With Marth seizing the throne, Nina expresses her gratitude for liberating her kingdom, gifting him the Parthia, a shining boat that belongs to the Archanean Regalia, though the lance Gradius and the sword Mercurius seem to have been stolen. If we get all 3, the fighting will be much easier. Marth travels north. With another kingdom liberated, Marth's army gets stronger and stronger. His homeland is still far away, with many obstacles in his path, but until he can free his home, Marth's march is unceasing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, as we start our travels towards Altea.